Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to that of the Stars and Stripes ARCA series. Tonight, the drivers get to test their skills in not just a retro car, but on a retro track. We're heading to Legacy, Texas, in that of the ARCA machines. We're excited to give you the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Zach Hall. And Zach, drivers getting ready for qualifying, but they're coming to a track that we really haven't covered here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting in a long time.
Yeah, this is going way back for me also, Sam. This is a track, one of my favorites personally is a mile and a half that we've lost over time here on iRacing is they've moved on to the newer configure of Texas, but luckily for our sake, iRacing they keep these older configurations in legacy format and we get to have a chance here to take these beautiful Gen 4 cars around this circuit and this is one of the most interesting mile and a halves also because it kind of goes back to what normal mile and a half racing is. You got two similar sides of the racetrack, but they have different characteristics when it comes to bumps and a very old surface that these guys should be able to move around. So I'm looking forward to a lot of good racing and a lot of movement throughout this field.
And again, the driver is going to be rolling in the throwback schemes with the ARCA cars. A lot of the drivers are going to be running schemes that are from that of the 2003 NASCAR machines, as well as going up to 2006, some even later than that. And it's always a pleasure to watch, especially last week watching them run at Daytona, where we got to see that of Christopher Wade find himself in a victory lane. But tonight, drivers thinking that this could be a lot more of a skilled race for them to watch out for. And right now, times are being set at the moment as it's going to be that of Brandon Missick going to be taking that first time on the board for the 88 machine as drivers have 3 minutes left to put down their fastest lap, and each driver given 2 laps to do their best. And on screen right now, it's going to be the Tide machine of Scott Rickard trying his best, entering 3 and 4 and hoping to be on top of the board.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Scott can produce here, man. He came away with a nice and easy finish there at Daytona, getting himself into the top 2 with, missing some of those wrecks. And look, just like that, he puts himself up to 4th on the board there as Timmy McNally puts himself up to 3rd. But right now, Brandon Messick holding on to that top spot. We'll see if anybody can pick up here on these second laps.
As the drivers about that at 22 have already put their time in. Still about 10 drivers waiting to see if they're going to be attempting to put a time in with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. And on screen, one of the drivers I'm excited to watch out for is going to be the 23 machine, that of Kevin O'Keefe, but we'll see how well he can do.
Yeah, we'll have to see how well he can do. He was super good at Daytona. Did a very well job there of staying up front for majority of the night. And then unfortunately it all came unraveled coming out of turn 4. We'll see if he can bounce back. We had a chat with him last week about that, and he feels like coming into these tracks where long run pace is going to be the key, is that's what he feels like he's going to be able to do best. And with his times in practice, he was very, very quick, but I did watch him there in qualifying. The 23 right now sitting 12th on the board. He unfortunately got into that outside wall, and when you get into the outside wall, you get that 0x, and that will undo the lap. So he had to take it around for one more time, and I think with just a little bit of damage and a little bit of speed loss by hitting that wall, he didn't get that second lap like he wanted. So right now, unfortunately, dropping down the board is Kevin O'Keefe, but I'm sure we'll be able to see what he can produce here tonight in Texas.
As you're seeing that of the 31 on screen currently, going to be trying to see how fast they can get on, as this is going to be Thomas Ogle, one of the drivers that came in as a rookie sensation last season when they were running that of the next gen cup car in the Gen 7. This, the Gen 4 ARCA machines, going to be seeing Thomas Ogle cross the line, a decent time for himself, but only able to get 11th place, just outside of the top 10, as the drivers have 45 seconds left. Zach, right now there's only about 2 or 3 other drivers still trying to put in a time, but they have got to be quick now.
Yeah, they definitely have to be quick if they want to get one in, and one of those is Joshua Robinson. And right now, I'm not actually seeing him out on the racing surface. So I believe, he is actually out there now as he put his first lap in. Didn't equate to much so far. It was 29th on that first lap, but we'll see, can he get it in quickly here as there's less than 20 seconds now at this time to get that lap time in. And Joshua Robinson was a definitely breakout rookie last season. I want to see what he can do in this ARCA car.
as drivers only have about that 9 seconds left, and Robinson coming across for himself that third time, hoping for it to be good enough for the pole, and it won't be so. Only 18th for themselves. Well, qualifying is done. And for the Stars and Stripes ARCA series, this has been incredible to watch, just the growth of this league. This is season number 6. They've evolved through all the different cars in each season. They keep on switching them up. They had to re-ramp it up to go back to the ARCA cars. Is the way they started off their first season. And for their second race of season 6, taking the top of the board, it's going to be the 88 of Brandon Missick, as well as Andrew Hess to the outside in second. Dylan Grimm going to be third with Tyler McNally in fourth. Fifth goes to that of Kyle Bowling. Kyle McCoy is going to be taking sixth with Scott Rickard seventh. Eighth goes to that of the 20 of Derek Offerman. Andrew Medlin gets ninth. And our winner from last week, Christopher Wade, takes the 10th spot.
In the 11th position, it's going to be the 31 of Thomas Ogle. 12th is going to go to the 40 of Aaron Hale. Jason Gratton's going to bring it home in the 13th position there. Kevin O'Keefe going to bring it home in 14th with hitting that wall. Trey Jackson, he's going to be starting back in 15th. All the way driver to watch coming up through the field. In the 16th position, it's going to be the 42 of Ed Perry. Knight Lynch going to start in the 17th position with Joshua Robinson coming here into 18th. 19th is going to be Will Bustler. Rounding out that top 20 is Patrick Hastings.
And in 21st, it's going to be that of Jonathan Woods in a 41 machine. George Kovacic in 22nd with Brian Chu in 23rd. Zach Kreitz in 24th. 25th is going to be Ross Tatum with Brian Lynch in 26th position. Doug Pierce takes 27th. 28th goes to that of Randy Cornwell. And 29th is going to be Dylan Glass with Diego Vela going to be taking that 30th position. Brian Scalise, going to be taking that of 31st, with Jason Higginbotham going to be taking 32nd, and that of 33rd is going to be Mike Lynch. 33 drivers hoping to take the green as they're rolling off. Going to be seeing these drivers up front, hoping for a good run. And Zach, we've been testing out, trying to do interviews. I think we're going to hold off on that of letting these drivers get settled in. This track, so different from what they have been running traditionally with the new Texas. What is the biggest difference that these drivers are dealing with this Legacy Texas?
Well, the biggest difference is going to be turn 1 and 2. You know, they completely reconfigured turn 1 and 2 at the newer Texas. Now they're going to have to deal with this older style Texas where the track's not as wide. It's much higher bank than the newer Texas version, but it's not as wide. You got less room to move around there. You got to find where you can make it, and it's very, very bumpy also. Then also the one big thing from compared to the old Texas, this track is a very old surface, so it doesn't have nearly as much grip, especially down here in 3 and 4, where a lot of times you see them wide open on that new configuration. They're going to have to be searching for the grip all night long on this old bumpy surface.
Searching for grip for 133 laps, no fast repair, 3 sets of tires in pit road to work with. As the drivers see the pace car pull off into the restart zone, Texas 200 is green here for the Stars and Stripes ARCA series. It's going to be that of Missick with a great launch on the inside, but here they go side by side into turn number 1.
Yeah, and Andrew Hess with that great qualifying effort. He's going to be in that outside lane there trying to hold back the 17 of Dylan Grimm here in that DeWalt paint scheme, trying to make his way forward. And I'm so interested to see how this all works out now. This is the first true test of the season to see what these guys have when it comes to these ARCA cars. And Messick not taking any time to waste here. He's starting to drive away a little bit here as they come off of 4. And how much will the tire saving come into factor, or does track position become king?
And as well, how much of drivers try to practice with the ARCA car. A lot of drivers so used with the Trucks, Xfinity, and the Next Gen Cup car. Not a lot. I put in enough practice in this ARCA machine, and already the 88 is pulling away already, almost a half a second lead in just 1 lap, while the rest of the field side-by-side action. It's going to be the 12 of Tim McNally and Kyle Bowling is going to be dealing with one another. They settle in as we're going to be seeing that 24 hoping for a good run.
Kyle Bowling definitely a driver to watch out for, always good on the longer run, so I'm interested to see if he can continue that trend into this ARCA generation of cars. So we'll see how that all works out for him. But Scott Rickard also there in the 32, a past champion here at Stars and Stripes in those trucks. Can he continue, to get back to that form? That's going to be the question I think all of us ask, because he's just such a dominant driver when he gets in a good mode. It's just going to take a little bit for him there as we look to the 31 machine there trying to make his way forward.
and getting to ride on board with the 31 of Thomas Ogle. Now getting on board with these ARCA cars, a little bit different than what you would see in the Next Gen Cup machine. And gotta say, Zach, a little bit more wider to see in front. Some drivers feel like with these ARCA cars, certainly a different feel than what you'd be feeling with those other machines.
Completely different. You know, we a lot of times talk with those Next Gen Cups cars, we talk about draft, and we talk about, you know, staying, keeping momentum. There's a lot of grip being generated by those newer generation cars. These cars, though, much more lower in the downforce category. They are much more on, you know, sliding on the track than in the track, as they would say. So you got to find the grip. It's going to be tough to do, and there's going to be separation throughout the field. These drivers aren't going to be able to stay packed up on each other for that long. You're going to see drivers that have the speed and the pace as the run goes on, and drivers that just don't, and it's going to start to make comers and goers as this race goes. So we should see a good general bit of passing, and you can see it right there. Kevin O'Keefe off turn 4 makes a nice clean pass on Thomas Ogle.
Kevin O'Keefe's going to be cracking into the top 10, going to be tied with one of our biggest movers in the top 10. That's Christopher Wade, the other driver that's up 4 positions already. But we're starting to see the tire wear factor. We're 6 laps into the run. The 24, Kyle Bowling, struggling. The outside wall kind of snuck up on him just out of 2 laps ago. That's why we're seeing this cluster building up, where we're seeing plenty of drivers struggling to find grip. And also the tightness factor. You talked about the fact that this track feels a little bit more narrow through 1 and 2. I think the drivers are starting to feel that more and more as the tire wear drifts away.
Yeah, as that tire wear gets worse, it's definitely going to get to that condition of where it feels like the track's a lot more narrow and the line's a lot more narrow. And it's, you know, it's a lot easier to just miss that line in general. If you go up the racetrack here, especially early in this race while they're still laying the rubber down to the racetrack, you get up into that gray area. You can see how the track is darker on the bottom. If you get up into the grayer areas, that has not got too much grip, and it will actually wear the tires a good bit more than what the rubber is on that bottom side. So you can't wash up too many times up off that bottom groove, because your tires will not only take the brunt, but you'll also find out quickly that the grip goes away. And then you also pick up those little things called rubber marbles that come off of these Goodyear tires, and those can be devastating.
And Zach, I'm looking at some of the track times that drivers are putting in. The 5 machine of Andrew Hess completely off the pace from our leader. That of Brandon Missick is flying currently. Still one of the fastest drivers on track. A little bit over a half a second over that of Dylan Grimm. But this 5, I'm getting concerned. Or could it be a strategy play? He has completely decided to fall off now, has lost 9 positions. I'm curious, maybe this is a tire strategy. I'm not seeing any damage on that right side of him hitting the wall. Could we be seeing Andrew Hess thinking of the long run already on lap number 9?
And you know, that's kind of what I'm going for, because, you know, he had good speed there to put himself in a good qualifying spot, showed speed in practice also. So I think this may be a little bit of a strategy here to fall back in this field. He feels confident that he'll be able to make passes through the field as Aaron Hill now goes by him to tick 12th. And he's probably going to have Trey Jackson here soon, the 25, looking to the inside here through 1 and 2. But I feel like it's definitely a tire-saving strategy here. And if I look back to last season, you know, Andrew Hess had one of his best runs at the Nashville Super Speedway. And that track right there really accounts for tire saving and keeping your tires underneath you. So maybe he's going to try to apply a little bit of that here tonight. We could see him start to march his way back through if this run continues on.
And speaking of marching their way forward, there's a couple of drivers in the middle of the field that are doing just that. As we see here, the 46 trying his best. But one of the biggest movers so far in the early portions is this 29 machine of Dylan Glass. And I gotta say, incredible to see Dylan Glass. He qualified back in 29th position. He's already up to 17th, up 12 spots. Biggest mover so far, as well as the driver in 20th for that 77.
Yeah, really big move for him. And yeah, also Diego Valle, they're really making his way through the field too. So these drivers right now electing to use those tires and try to get as much out of them here as possible, because, you know, if we do get a caution here within, you know, the next 20 laps, all this track position they gain, we'll probably see some drivers come down the pit road anyways because of how long we've been out there. So for them, if it does start to, you know, fall off, as they would say with tires, where your times start to drop off and you get slower and slower because you use those tires so much in the early portion of the run, you know, it could come back to help them, though, if they do get some type of break here in this race. So we'll see how it works out, or it might just be their pace. Sometimes that is just how it works out. Some drivers just don't hit the qualifying lap that they want, and they have very good race pace. And right now, Diego is trying to work over that 41 of Jonathan Woods right now.
Jonathan Woods trying to continue to run well, as this week's been a pretty good week for that 41 in other leagues, but right now just staying inside of our top 20 at this moment, as he's being heavily pressured by this 77. Everyone running that inside lane, trying to stay and hit their marks perfectly. And as we're talking about marks, a driver that's starting to lose their marks, he's actually up front. Our leaders starting to see a little bit of a swing for first, second, but mainly it's the battle for second place. Scott Rickard, here comes also our winner from last week, the 15 of Christopher Wade. They are on the move and finding some extra pace while they're climbing through this field, as well as Kevin O'Keefe. Bad qualifying run for that of the 23. You see him just out back there in that washed out yellow. That 23 is also on the move.
And he is. Kevin O'Keefe is on the big move, and so is Wade and that 32 of Rickard. So we'll see how that works out for them. As you see right now, Timmy McNally, he's dropped back 2 positions from where he started in 4th back to 6th now. So McNally trying to hold on to what he has. But yeah, we're seeing some big movement from some of these drivers here as this run goes on. And with it being lap 15 here, they'll come by and complete this time. They're starting to run down Messick even up front. Scott Rickard is going to be on the back bumper here within a lap. So maybe Messick and Grimm here, they drove out to a quick lead there early in this race, but have they used their tires up? That's going to be the question. Is Rickard there with a nice entry into 1. He's going to turn down that racetrack and have the good exit out 2.
Trying to keep that speed, and he'll have the preferred line in the entry of turn 3 is that 32, and Messick just giving it up, trying to not lose even more positions, but watch out for Christopher Wade. This launch out of turn 3 is where the 15 has been having a lot of speed for himself. A little bit of an equal footing there for the 88 and the 15, but you could just tell the 88 not feeling as secure, kind of running a bit out of a half a groove too high at moments, but kind of trying to do an undercut there, almost hits the apron. And Messick's doing everything in his power, but Zach, it just looks like it's a losing battle for the 88 as Scott Rickard tries to pull away.
Yeah, Scott Rickard doing his best job right now to hope that 88 holds up that 15 of Christopher Wade, let him get a little bit of breathing room, as they would say. And right there, as you said, out of 4, Wade's been strong there so far in this race. He gets to the inside of Messick, and he's going to look here for that position down into 1. And from what I've seen, the passing has been pretty straightforward, but this time Messick has been able to somewhat make that outside groove work, but just like that, Wade with the power off of turn 2 will actually close out that pass. And, you know, looking to previous experience here, ran this track personally a lot back in the older days of iRacing, and 1 and 2 never seemed like it could get multi-groove. 1 and 2 always seemed like the bottom was just the best way around. I will say 3 and 4 was the one turn that people did start to find where you could move around and find that little bit of grip there to make up some speed, but so far everybody's showing that bottom is the way to go.
But grip-wise, when are we going to be starting to see drivers think about making that outside lane work? Is it only when you've got fresh rubber, or is it when you've got older tires that really starts to elevate and give you opportunities?
Yeah, it definitely depends a lot on that tire grip level. If you're out there and you're a little bit on the tighter side of things, which by tight we mean the nose of the car just does not want to turn. It wants to go out towards the wall. And when you have that condition, the bottom usually tends to be the best place overall, just because that gives you the most room to wash out that car late on exit and carry your speed. Now, when these guys start to see if that rear end will start to kick out and those rear tires start to lose a little bit of grip, that's where you can see that outer groove start to really work in 3 and 4. That's when you go up there, you find that little bit of grip, and you can turn kind of down the racetrack and not be as much, you know, left wheel turned into that car so it doesn't want to spin out on you. But as you can see there, coming off of 4, Messick, our pole setter, he's in big trouble right now as he's lost a position to Grimm. It's going to be O'Keefe and now McNally, and then he'll have Medlin and also McCoy right behind that.
Yeah, this group is really starting to cluster up, and that speed deficit between the 17 and the 88, really Grimm able to hold on, but a little bit of shuffling. Let's try to go 3 wide, potentially into turn 3, and they will try to stick it. McCoy on the bottom. It's going to be Medlin in the middle. Messick trying to hold steady on the outer groove, but they got to be careful. They squeeze just a 2 wide, but oh boy, did McCoy like that 2-for-1 meal, as he'll now move up into that of 6th place. The driver that won the championship in this vehicle, the 28 Kyle McCoy, he wants to get back into victory lane. He missed out on last week at Daytona, and this is going to be a big rebound type of a race for the 28 machine. De Havilland looking strong with that power move.
That was definitely a power move if they ever could say it, Sam. 3 wide on the bottom, making it stick, and he just got it done. And Yeah, Kyle McCoy, that season one champion in these ARCA cars, he's looking to come back with revenge here and see if he can get back into his championship winning ways because we know how good he has been last season in the next gen car. Just didn't go his way. Wasn't able to compete in those playoffs like he wanted to, couldn't make a few of the races, and it just didn't work out for him. But I think here he's going to feel a little bit of rejuvenation as he's got to look in that rearview mirror right now as Medlin thought about it down there in the 3, but Kyle McCoy for right now going to be able to hold on it through 3 and 4.
Yeah, that mirror got real full. Guy exited turn 2. That 28's rear bumper almost scraping the outside wall. Got to be careful with that exit tightness. It's got to be something that continues to build up as we're seeing the onboard, getting to see those hands working through that 1 and 2 for Kyle McCoy. Seeing Andrew Medlin in the mirror and hoping to stay steady. And once again, that exit of turn 2 seems to be we're seeing a lot of wiggling going on. And Zach, that could be cause of major issues, especially with the damage model on these vehicles. This one little nick might not look too bad, but it can obviously build up more and more onto a run.
Yeah, it can spiral out of control, as they would say. You make these cars weaker. Every time you touch that wall, it's going to make that right side just that much more weak. So the next time you hit it, it's just going to be a much lighter hit, but it may do even more damage due to the weakening of the outside of that body of this race car. And then that's where you run into the danger of getting suspension damage. If you get suspension damage, you can call your race almost over at that point because you're going to be sitting on pit road for a while trying to get that car fixed up. But you can see right there out of 4, Kevin O'Keefe, he's continued his move forward, and he's up to that 3rd spot. What a job by him.
We're starting to see that pure swing. Lap 20 seemed to be that major swing that we were seeing of drivers that had saved up their tires and now trying to make that march forward. As Andrew Medlin able to make that pass, will Cal McCoy be able to retaliate back? And at the same note, Timmy McNally battling for 4th place on Dylan Grimm. Grimm doing a great job with how aggressive the 17 was on trying to build up that lead with Missick. I am completely surprised on how well Dylan Grimm has done to stay in up front, at least inside of the top 5 at this moment. But these front about 7 drivers have been looking strong. I'm trying to look at the times to see if there's going to be anyone that tries to sneak up on this group. And right now, could be the drivers back in 9th and 10th. That's Kyle Bowling, Thomas Ogle. They are the fastest drivers on track, but they are finding themselves almost 3 seconds back from this lead group.
Yeah, they're a good bit back here, and they're going to have to try to find something, though. They've caught up to Messick here. They got to get around him quickly because Messick is definitely a little bit off the pace. He's been about a 10th or 2 slower than a lot of this group up ahead of him, and he's just going to be kind of holding up this 24 and this 31's progress. I've also been watching Aaron Hell. He's also in that 40 machine. He's been one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. And Andrew Hess, he was saving a lot of tires last time by a 31.90 to our leader's 32.29. So that's some good lap times being produced by the 5 machine as he's going to try to make his way back forward. But right now, Messick under threat because that 24 Bowling is going to the inside.
And troubles for drivers deeper in the field. One of our biggest movers in the middle of the group, that was the 77 of Diego. He actually just got rear-ended by the 11 of Randy Cornwell entering turn 1 on the last lap. And the 77 has dropped all the way down to 31st position, about to go to last place. So all that time gained to crack inside of our top almost 15, throw it away for the 77.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate for Diego there, man. He worked so hard to get up there, but just simple contact from Randy Cornwell. And good job of him holding on to that machine, but it's now dropped him back here battling with Doug Pierce in that 99 machine. It looks like he will get that pass done and move himself up to 30th. But, yeah, the one thing I've been watching that's kind of interesting is our leaders and really all the guys in the top 10, their lap times have been fluctuating so much personally that I can't tell who's got what because at some point Scott Rickard in the 32, he's running 32 threes, and then he busted out a 31.90. So was he out here just riding and saving his stuff? And once Wade has got to him, has he picked it back up is my big question here.
Hey, it's so hard to tell because there's also other drivers in the middle of the field that are running pretty similar times to our leader. I think this is showing the plateau that we're going to see when drivers come into pit road. Could be a big thing to watch out for of if drivers pit early enough, they could do a massive undercut that could help them later on in this race. Again, drivers are given 3 sets of tires in pit road to work with, no fast repair, so you don't want to be building up damage, but the tire and fuel stints, it's got to be something to watch out for. And Zach, I don't have the exact calculations, but I imagine lap 50 might be our number to watch out for. 50 to 60 could be the number when we see these drivers hit pit road.
Yeah, no doubt indeed. I think this race is going to most likely, if we stay green at this point like we've been, it'll be a two-stop race. So I think that window is going to open up around 45 to 50 for these guys to start that first pit stop if they really want to be in a good area. But we could see some guys stretch it, But with you saying the plateau effect is the tires just seem to start to even out. You run similar lap times over and over again. That's where you can get some interesting strategies played out, because if you undercut these guys, you go in there, get those newer tires that run much faster lap times than what you have right now. Then once they catch you later in that race by using those fresher tires themselves by pitting later, the times might have evened out by that point, and then just hard to make passes. So we'll see if that strategy does come out where people kind of undercut it, or do they take it farther. It's always the money old question for sure, these drivers, but I think a lot of drivers right now are battling for the grip, as some drivers are definitely struggling.
That they certainly are, as we're riding on board with the 9 of Zach Kreitz back in 22nd position for himself. Yellow flag strikes though, and it's the 42 of Ed Perry on the front stretch. And just like that, talking about strategy, we'll throw it out the window, because our first yellow is out on lap 34.
Oh, such a bad break for Ed Perry there. I think got tied out of 4 and just couldn't, hold on to the machine, as I believe it was the 20 of Derek Offerman, who had really nowhere to go with that 42 bouncing off the wall. So first caution of the night, just that quick, and that 42 around. But from what I'm seeing, not too crazy amount of damage for him. I was surprised with how hard he hit the wall and how hard he got hit in the rear bumper, that he didn't get more damage build up. And a lot of guys are also lucky that they got by there on the tri-oval.
Yeah, I think the driver I was more concerned about has to be Derek Offerman in that 20 machine, because he just had nowhere to go. Ed Perry actually was someone I wanted to touch on right before this incident, because he was putting down some pretty decent times, but I think the times might have caught up to him just too fast, not enough grip. And that outside wall snuck up on him on the exit. You could tell a lot of other drivers have hit that wall as well. And Offerman, nowhere to go, just too fast, rear ends that 42. And I think Offerman concerned about his damage, but it's this contact that made us very scared for the 42 machine, who did not get a required damage flag. And he is going to be able to still run out there. The question is, how long will he decide to sit on pit road?
Yeah, we'll have to see how long those repairs happen for. And even Offerman, I looked at the nose of his car, because like you said, Sam, I was more concerned about him for the hit he took, because the nose is just such a vital part of these cars with damage, and how you make downforce and get the speed and grip out of these race cars. It doesn't look like the front end is too damaged at all. It just seemed like it just lifted that rear bumper up, just like we were talking about at Daytona, where it kind of wedges underneath the car. So definitely an interesting case there for Derek Offerman, but I think he'll be possibly getting just a tiny bit of repair, maybe to pull that nose out just a tiny bit, but not too bad for him for sure.
And a little bit of strategy call. Most of the field coming into pit road for tires and fuel. Randy Cornwell deciding to stay out on track. We'll see if the 11 decides to pull into pit road this go around. As you see, the 42 still in pit road, getting repairs done. Same for the 20, still on pit road, getting repairs done. We'll see if they can get back out there on track. Also, an update for a driver that missed that of the start of the race and still now not out on the track. That's going to be the 2 of Jason Huggenbath, who looks to be not joining in as drivers. Expecting to see the 11 pulling in, but Zach, he doesn't. This could be dangerous for the rest of the field.
Yeah, this is where the drivers are going to make their money, as they'd say, because you're going to have an interesting case here. Randy Cornwell is going to be well off the pace. I mean, the lap times these leaders ran right off the start of the run was about a 30.76, and we were seeing some guys run into the mid 32s there. So you're going to see upwards of almost 2 seconds of lap time difference. And if these drivers aren't smart how they get around that 11, it could easily cause a major incident. And Cornwell going to restart up top. I think that's possibly best idea for him, because these guys are going to be looking to go around him any way they possibly can here. But we'll see how he can navigate those waters. I mean, you had 4 sets of tires in pit road here tonight. We'll see how he makes that work here for himself. 3 tires in the pit row with 4 total. So yeah, he could be looking to save that set here if we get a quick other caution, and he'll be trying to drive through the field.
Well, up front, it's going to be Randy Cornwell, Scott Rickard with that of the 32. The 23, of Kevin O'Keefe going to be in third, with Christopher Wade and Andrew Medlin finishing out our top 5. Pace cars pulling off And let's see what the damage and the danger can bring us, as it is already taking off from the green, not waiting for the restart zone. Randy Cornwell is hoping to have a big enough gap lead to hold off for at least a lap. He gets the lap-led bonus, but now it's the troublesome spot. What will the grip level look like? And here comes the speed already on the exit of 2.
Yeah, and it was just that fast. I mean, he had a 4-car length gap heading down into 1. That all disappeared through the center and off, and now already back to the 4th position and going to quickly be outside the top 10. But luckily for his case, everybody on the bottom, nobody running that upper groove, so this should be pretty procedural unless he pulls down in front of that 24. For a second, I thought he was going to throw the block, and luckily he decided better of it.
And with all of the chaos of where is the 11 going to go, it allowed Christopher Wade to make a pass for the lead over Scott Rickard. So the 15 leads that lap, but here comes Rickard to the inside trying to make the bounce and make the pass. He's in the preferred lane, and here comes Kevin O'Keefe going to be following in suit.
We'll see, can Wade make that outside groove work? We've seen nobody be able to really hold off that bottom groove once they've got to the inside, but Wade does a good job through 3 and 4 there, stays somewhat even with this 32. Now going to fight down into 1, but I think this is where the 32 is going to finally clear that 15, and he does here in the middle of 1 and 2. Can he get down, though, before Kevin O'Keefe gets there? No, he can't. Kevin O'Keefe in the 23 nose to the inside off of 2.
But he should find at least a gap as long as he doesn't stay side by side through 3 and 4, and that's exactly where he's going to be. Able to slot right down in front of Dylan Grimm, and I think that's the best position for the 15. Just settle in, save those tires, and see how you can react to Scott Rickard, who is trying to pull away, kind of doing a little bit of a Brandon Missick right now, trying to build up that gap. It's already up to 6/10, and almost identical to what we saw the 88 do earlier. But it was about that of a 6-lap run. We started to see Missick get caught up. Will we see the identical thing happen to Scott Rickard right now as we're on lap 41, coming to 42?
Yeah, he's got clean air. He's got clean track in front of him. And I think sometimes as drivers, we, sometimes can actually push just a little too hard when we have that clean opening in front of us. We see Missick, like you said, Sam, he got caught very quickly with opening that gap, and he fell all the way almost outside the top 15. And I was watching some of his lap times later in the run. He was one of the biggest strugglers on the track. So I think some drivers are going to have to learn from that. You can't go out here and really use your stuff up too much, but we'll see. As Kevin O'Keefe, I think he's taking advantage of the 32 right now, because I think the 32 is trying to back the speed down. The 23, though, he's trying to come through and get the lead.
As the drivers are seeing the aggressive driving going on, we ride on board with the 23, get a sense of what it's like, and look at that steering wheel. It is completely kinked out to the right on the straightaways, and you might think that steering wheel is broke, but Zach, that's the way he wants it to be.
Yeah, no, that is exactly right, Sam. That is some steering offset, as we would say, in the setup. You can adjust your steering box out there, folks. You can make it quicker, you can make it slower, but you also can make the offset of the wheel. So what that means is you can have the wheel on the straightaways driving straight, a little pointed to the right or a little pointed to the left. It's up to really driver preference. I know some guys like it just dead on straight when you're going on down their straightaways, but a lot of guys will actually run a lot of right offset, turning that wheel to the right down the straightaways, so when they get to that corner, they almost run straight through the corner instead of turning left. It's almost a very little movement, and it can really just be a big preference thing. And from what I'm seeing from Kevin O'Keefe, he does like a good bit of right offset.
As the drivers continue to race on up front, we drop back a little bit further to get a sense of what it's like to ride on board with Dylan Grimm. As Grimm, right now in 4th place, we saw that of the 17 be very aggressive with Missick in that first portion of this race in the first 20 laps. Well, the 17 now going to be back in traffic, and I'm curious to see what's be behind someone else that's kind of setting a slower pace, not forcing you to really max out your speed. How are we going to see these other drivers react for themselves? Because right now we're starting to see some newcomers crack into the top 5. The first of those in 7th place, you see in the bud bright red, it's that of Jason Bratton on the move.
Yeah, and I tell you what, that's a good car to run here. That 8 machine was very, very fast in the pass here at Texas, and he's looking to carry some of that momentum here himself for Jason Bratton. And he's going to look to the inside here of Kyle Bolin off of turn 2 and try to get that position heading down the 3. And we've seen all night that bottom lane, you get to the inside of somebody, it's just very hard to hold that person off. A lot of times we see these mile and a half, especially with those, newer generation style cars, they have so much downforce and so much grip that you can really rip that upper groove and stay right on the door of somebody, and that's where it makes it hard to pass. Seems like with these older Gen 4 cars in ARCA style racing, it just, you don't have the grip up in that upper groove like you would before, and you just can't hold those other drivers off the best you possibly can. But we go back to the 41 of Jonathan Woods right now. He's battling back here with the 10 machine of Joshua Robinson. So we'll see if Robinson can continue his march up.
And as well as we were watching the pass that Grattan made for that position up to 6th, update for the lead, Kevin O'Keefe found a massive search for himself and actually takes that lead position over Scott Rickard. So a lot of shifting now going on for that lead spot as their top 3 trying to pull away from the rest of the field. But yeah, I mean, dropping back and talking about the middle of the pit field and some of those drivers that are having some big movements. Right now, in 13th position, Ross Tatum is looking quick for himself, as well as Dylan Glass. Haven't really talked about the 29. We touched on him a little bit, being one of our bigger movers. He's now in 15th. We'll see how he can run as we continue to look at the battle for the lead. Rickard right on that back bumper. And it's good to see the Pontiac out there. It's so weird not seeing it out there. It's so weird not seeing the Dodges. But with these ARCA schemes, drivers are able to add a little bit of flair to bring back some history.
That they can. It's the beauty of it for sure, man. Definitely cool seeing different manufacturers out there from all around, and so many manufacturers from that older 2003 series. I mean, you know, you had multiple different ones from the GM folks, and then you also had the Dodge, the Ford out there also. So it really added and spiced up those things, and we've seen that Pontiac have some good runs for sure back in that time. So as you see, the Ross Tatum, you brought it up, Sam. He's been moving forward. You know, I watched him there in the middle part of that last run. I was, you know, expecting him to be one of our biggest movers here, and it just didn't seem like it was working out too much for him there that last run. But from this last pit stop, he's figured a little bit out here, and this 21 is starting to march forward. I think by the end of this race, he may be up there near the front.
I think Ross Tatum, kind of a surprise, really struggled on qualifying. He was about that of the 7th slowest driver on time of those that put down a time. Qualified back in 25th position. So hoping to have a little bit more magic up to 13th. Hoping to move up. And here's some driver trying to move up. Some contact going to be made. This is for 22nd position as Will Bustler in the 6 gets moved up. And almost some retaliation as that of Diego in the 77 fighting and clawing after being bumped out of the way, battling up in that of 18th and 17th. Just that of 20 laps ago. He is muscling his way forward.
Yeah, that's how you could say it, muscling for sure. Diego Valle, they're moving his way forward and definitely not making too many probably friends by that, as Will Bustler's going to probably write that one down in the notebook, because I tell you what, us drivers, we never forget anything. We got memories like elephants, man. It's definitely something you'll jot down, and you'll remember that for a later race, that, hey, that guy used me up just a teeny bit. Next time I go to pass him, I'm going to leave it all out on the table. So we'll see if Bustler can try to get back towards that 77, or does that 77 hold position? Because like you said, he got hit by the 11 the last run, and maybe he feels like he needs to get his elbows out to get forward.
He might have to, and now a battle for the lead right back on. It's side by side for that of Kevin O'Keefe. He's trying to hold on the best that he can, but Scott Rickard makes the sliding move and makes the pass easily for himself. But as that pass was made, we're starting to see 4th and 5th closing in on our top 3.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this all plays out, because the one thing I noticed in the last run is, you know, Dylan Grimm went very aggressive with Messick there in an early portion of that run, and it didn't really backfire too much. It did in the middle part, but it seemed to come back alive for that 17 as the run really started to click off. And I tell you what, you could be watching out for Grimm here later in this run. These 3 up front have been battling pretty hard and running pretty fast, and just as we say that, the 17 and the 18 here both moving forward quickly. And then you also got Kyle McCoy there in that 28 machine, who fell off a lot there that last run. We'll see if he can learn from that last run too.
Trying their best to close in on the gap. We'll come back to this group the best that we can as other drivers are trying to make their move, cracking into the top 10. One of those that's slowly marching their way forward, that is going to be seen in 12th position. I want to talk about, that's Trey Jackson, who is trying to make his move forward, but he's under pressure from that of Aaron Hale.
Yeah, Aaron Hale here trying to move his way forward. And, you know, Aaron Hale, like, he had a classic reputation of being very, very good of saving the tires and making it work on the long runs. I mean, I look back to one of his wins at Dover here at the Stars and Stripes. He was so good on the long runs there. And last run, he was definitely one of the drivers on my timesheet that was flashing up saying, all right, this guy's going to be quick as this run goes on. And it's continuing to look that way for Aaron Hill as he's moved his way forward once again here. And we'll see, can he continue that, though? That's always the question. You know, you can make passes early, but if you don't do them for the rest of the run, then it's worthless.
Here's going to be running on board with the driver back in 17th. That is Nate Lynch. And Lynch is getting a pretty good action behind in his mirror as that of our pole sitter starting to get under pressure, as we're also seeing a driver on the apron. That is Randy Cornwell. He has made his pit stop as he, again, decided to stay out and not pit under yellow. And Zach, he's going to be in the thick of things with this crowd with fresh rubber. Now it's time to see how will the 11 feel like being Superman with the rest of the field.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Randy Cornwell, we've seen it just at Daytona itself. He's very aggressive. He will throw his car into positions that I think some drivers might not expect, and we'll have to watch and see if he's willing to risk it here with these newer tires. He's going to look to the outside of this one of Nate Lynch here, who's running up on the back bumper of the 25 of Trey Jackson. He's going to have a little bit of a logjam here and have nowhere to go. We'll see how he navigates these waters.
He's going 3 wide. Yeah, he's going up to the wall. This 11 does not care, but he realizes how tight it can be, and there's just no grip. He'll swing it back down, trying to get by that of Trey Jackson. This has got to be frightening at moments. Not sure how the driver with fresh rubber is going to react around you, and when they're that aggressive and reacting in such a quick manner in your mirror, you just never know where to even place your car in a safe way to make sure you don't get caught up in trouble.
Yeah, you try not to be too reactive. You know, you try to just run your own race, but sometimes you got to be reactive to that driver behind you because they're going to be, coming at such a high rate of speed that if you don't move out the way and they misjudge a situation, they might end up running you over. So you're seeing how much the difference of new tires are. Randy Cornwell, who stayed out there, it's definitely backfired on him now a good bit. But I tell you what, he's going to be liking the tires right now as he's going to try to drive through this field. But right now, stuck on the back bumper, Zach Kreitz is now going to get another run out of turn 2.
And we got to talk about a little bit of this before that initial yellow came out, which was the fact of tire strategy. And for that of Randy Cornwell, he's given us great data. This is what it's like when you've got a 20-lap advantage over someone else with tires. This could have been even a bigger advantage to have based on the rate of speed that was so different earlier before that yellow came out when we were 34 laps into a run. So just showing any small amount of a lap advantage is massive to be seen. As we see here, the battle for 14th and 15th going to be that of Zach Kreitz and Joshua Robinson in the 10 trying to make this move.
Yeah, trying to make that through that move there. It's definitely one of those things that it's tough to do tonight. From what I've seen, that upper groove just hasn't worked the way some of these drivers probably have wanted it to, and it's made passing somewhat a little bit more tough. But if you can get to the inside, that's the key. It's made the passing easier. So it's tougher, but also easier. It's just setting that person up and getting that run off these exits to try to make that pass. So now we're seeing some battling here as Jason Gratton, I think he just got passed possibly by Kyle Bolin, as that 24 looks to make his move back forward. As he was definitely one of the drivers like we were watching last time, him and Thomas Ogle, who were lighting up the timesheet there late in the run. So we'll see if that 24 and that 31 can continue their march. But there's Dylan Glass also in the 13, who's really doing a great job, but also Ross Tatum.
Yeah, and you see Ross Tatum gaining a great advantage on the fact that Randy Cornwell had to push up the 5. This gives the advantage for that 10th place position as Andrew Hess having to lose so much momentum on the exit of the corner, and just like that, watch out for the 44 almost sliding on the entry of turn 3 as that of Aaron Hill tries to make this pass but gets squeezed in, not able to carry the momentum the way that he wanted, and he'll have to follow in line. But as all this great battling is happening, strategy soon should become a key as we are coming up to past halfway, meaning drivers are thinking about potentially, if this race stays green, a one-stop, which means you might want to have as much data as you can, make sure you've got the right strategy out there, and that's where iRacing iFlag can help you. iRacing iFlag is, they've got themselves a patented iFlag virtual flag system, but for the extra data to help you out, you want to go look at their digital pit board, which provides drivers for that of weather conditions as well as track conditions on what the temperatures are and what your fuel usage is for the last 5 laps and how many laps you have left in your tank. So much great information to help you become a better driver. And go on head over to iRacingIFlag.com and use our promo code FreakyFast2022 today. As we are coming up to halfway, Zach, right now, biggest movers are those that are in the top 10, it looks like, with Ross Tatum up 15 positions, Kevin O'Keefe up 12, but that of Andrew Hess, one of the bigger losers, down 10 spots for himself, as we've had one driver call it a night. That's Doug Pierce, who ran it into the outside wall about that of 15 laps ago. He has decided to park it into pit road and is done. And right now, we've only got a total of 29 drivers on the lead lap.
Yeah, it's definitely some drivers who are definitely struggling losing those positions, but a lot of drivers who are gaining spots too. And as gaining spots has happened, it's not spots, but it's definitely track position, as they would say. And that's Randy Cornwell. Those new tires have finally caught up to the leaders of Scott Rickard, and look, flies around the outside there of those that group of drivers. But the one thing I think that I'm most impressed with is how close everybody's been here tonight. Not a bunch of separation. You know, sometimes in these cars, you can see people pull very big leads. They just got a stranglehold on everything. But I tell you what, our top really 8 drivers right now, as Kyle Bowling's a little bit off. So really our top 7 drivers are just really all within a second and a half of each other. And that is super impressive here this late into the run.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's due to the fact of, one, the way that the tires have been working kind of in a gradual state. That big bipolarism of one lap you're extremely fast, one lap you're extremely slow. I think that's helping in some ways. So if a driver makes a mistake one lap, they're not completely, throwing that stint and long run out the window. But it certainly is making drivers think a little bit more on the conservative side, allowing these drivers to stay so close to one another. And I would say really our whole entire top 10 still all in pretty good striking distance to one another if we start to see some issues of our leaders.
Yeah, no doubt within striking distance for sure. And, Scott Rickard's had a good stronghold. He's had the lead here for a good bit now, and it looks like he's starting to inch away from Kevin O'Keefe. It's just hundredths of a second every now and then, but it does seem like as the run goes farther and farther, that 32 gets better and better. So we'll see if he can continue that. And then also Kyle McCoy, who's driven up to the 4th position. I'm impressed with him. He struggled at really the end part of that last run. He was up and around the top 5, but it just fell away from him. And right now, he's definitely holding on in that 28 machine. And also Thomas Ogle just made a pass on Andrew Medlin to get up to 6. So we're seeing some movers here in this top 7.
I think Kyle McCoy really helped on the fact that caution came out. He was being so aggressive on the exit of the corners, now able to reset and come back into this run. But here's that 31 you were talking about. Thomas Ogle, 6th place, trying to figure out how to aim forward and give a little bit of updates on what those times are looking like that last lap. And it's Thomas Ogle, the drivers that are inside of our top 10. That 31 is the fastest driver based on that last lap.
That he was, man. He's looking quick right now in that machine. And I tell you what, Andrew Medlin here, as we got him on the driver cam, the 18 machine, he's getting to see how fast that 31 is. He's going to watch that 31 get on the back bumper of Dylan Grimm and try to make that pass. So right now, Andrew Medlin looks focused, looks content, but he's got to find a little bit more speed if he wants to go out there and compete for a top 5.
We're seeing when we were doing an onboard with Kevin O'Keefe earlier, to watching from the onboard of the 18 of the battle for 5th. Thomas Ogle going to be able to make that pass cleanly, but looking at the hands of Andrew Medlin with our driver cam on that bottom right, he is working it, and I feel like all drivers, that's practically what they're all looking like with the way that they're coming out of the corner.
It does. It looks like there's actually a little bit of a loose condition here for these drivers, not putting too much left turn into the wheels, so maybe that rear end is definitely starting to step out. You can see as he gets closer to the exits of the corner, he has to do those little corrections back to the right side, and that's where things can get a little hairy. And if you make a mistake with one of those corrections, you can easily end up in that outside retaining wall. So good job on most of these drivers staying out of that. But look at that, Thomas Ogle, he looks really, really good right now, as he's going to go to the inside of Kyle McCoy and continue his path forward.
I'm trying to figure out where this speed came from, because it just felt like 2, maybe 3 laps ago was just a switch that flipped for the 31. Everyone else was kind of running their own race, staying calm, staying with one another. And this 31 putting everyone to shame, as he has now moved up to 4th place. But now this is the toughest task. It seems like it's pretty easy to get up to 4th. It's our top 3 that have been unmovable in these last 35 laps.
Yeah, our top 3 has been kind of solid. It's, drivers have been close to him, but they haven't been close enough to really make something happen. The one thing I'm seeing from Ogle, though, he's entering a lot higher than other drivers. He's entering in about that second lane and keeping it there for a while, then coming down the racetrack for a little bit later apex. We'll see if what the lap times flash this time by, but just visibly, he is definitely the fastest car still on the racetrack and almost by 2/10.
Yeah, it's not even really looking close at this time of the way that we're seeing this 31 run. It's almost like we're going to be seeing him trying to go for a pass. And speaking of pass behind them, it looked to be that of the 17, trying to get by that of Kyle McCoy, and McCoy in a spot where he's got to be careful as we look at the difference on time. Really, this 4 machine pulling away from 5th, making it look easy for himself. But I got to say that, you know, the 3 position difference between Scott Rickard to Thomas Ogle, I think we're starting to see how that could change up the factors on how you want to run this course. You touched on that little bit of difference on how you enter the corner. I mean, you want to think that would be too big of a difference if you don't know it very much on racing. But Zach, I mean, that certainly is the difference of a good corner or a bad one on how you can enter a corner for sure.
Oh, exactly. The entry is everything, man. I mean, a lot of people think, you know, it's all about creating speed through the center and exit. Yes, it is, but it all starts with the entry. And just like that, Thomas Ogle going to be on the inside here. And it takes away his entry that he has been having where he's been driving in that wider entry. And what that does is he's just opening the corner up just a little bit more, waiting to turn in a little bit later. And it's really just making the tires probably most likely breathe a little bit. And what I mean by that is they're just cooler overall. When you have a cooler tire temp, that tire is going to grip to the racetrack instead of being hot and just slipping and sliding all over the place. And just like that, I mean, he literally passed 2 cars in 1 lap. I mean, that's just showing the pace he has right now. Scott Rickard is definitely on the quicker side of things too, because he's starting to open up his gap. But I think Ogle here in the next 5 to 6 laps, he will be on that back bumper, if not before that.
Now, here is this situation for Scott Rickard, though. How does the 32 want to react here? We're starting to see one driver has already entered pit road. That's Patrick Hastings in the 4. The opening for pit road has started, but we also have to be concerned about if a caution comes out in the middle of this pit cycle, it could be trapped a lap down or more. So drivers have to be starting to think of that tire and fuel strategy run, as 31, still the fastest driver inside of our top 10, besides that of Andrew Hess, is back in 10th place, but he's still 3 seconds back.
Yeah, those drivers are a good bit back. Aaron Hill, Andrew Hess, Ross Tatum, Joshua Robinson, they're really the fastest group of cars on our track right now, but they're just so far back that it's not too, you know, big of a deal, I feel like, for Thomas Ogle and Scott Rickard. But you can see it's formed somewhat of a train here as these guys have found the speed here when they caught up. So it's been some great races so far in this race, though, Sam. And I tell you, I think they're going to try to stretch the fuel as far as possible to make this last run a lot more easy.
And especially if you're one of these drivers that are putting down some fast laps, you want to utilize this speed to the maximum of your potential. But right now, this gaggle of cars stuck behind that of Kyle McCoy. McCoy struggling, forcing Aaron Hill to the outside of the 40 machine, trying to power move for himself. And that is not able to work out at all for himself on that move, and is well ahead of them. Kevin O'Keefe had a major scare for the 23, almost bashing the outside wall on the exit of 4.
Yeah, it's starting to get very, very difficult for a few of these guys. Wade got by Kevin O'Keefe with that mistake. Now it's going to be Grimm looking to the inside. Then behind that, you'll have Kyle Bowling, who's been looking strong as this run's continued on. And I tell you, it's definitely heating up even up front. Thomas Ogle's now gotten to the back bumper of Scott Rickard. So everything transpiring here and showing his
hits the wall. And as well, Kyle McCoy gets spun off the nose of the 40 machine. And that will bring out our second caution of the day.
Ooh, just like that, and Thomas Ogle was going for the lead into 1, so everything was going crazy here on lap 82. What a crazy event here we've had so far, showing that tire wear is huge, man. And you know, it seemed like that 40 and that 28, that's where it all started. So a tough break for Kyle McCoy there, but I think that 40 and him just coming to blows.
I mean, just everyone started to, you know, those that were dominating up front for the longest time of that portion, all their tires just dropped almost instantly. They just lost all grip, were stuck on the outside. Slamming the outsole was O'Keefe, and then everyone else had to react accordingly, and it just did not go well for that of the 28 of Kyle McCoy, who gets spun around on the nose of the 40. We are not going to be able to have the replay for this incident, but Zach, a quick rundown of how that wreck went down. I mean, just a gaggle of cars, exit of 4, hit the wall and everyone else kind of scatters.
Yeah, Kevin O'Keefe, the first one into that outside wall, and then actually behind that is where it all kind of really started to go wrong, because Kyle McCoy up in that second groove, he hits up into the wall, and then from there, Aaron Hale, kind of similar to what we've seen with our first caution of the night with Derek Offerman. He just had nowhere to go with Kyle McCoy getting to that wall. He tried to slow down, but just got into the back bumper, spun him around. And Kevin O'Keefe, though, has to breathe a sigh of relief. He got saved by that caution just a little bit here to, not lose more than what he was going to.
Well, drivers coming into pit road, some going to be taking the wave around as they've already made their pit stop, but the majority of the field hits pit road for themselves. And for us, second caution of the night means we're going to take a little bit of a break for ourselves. You won't miss a thing, as we are going to be going side by side with this commercial break. When we come back, we'll take it to the end of the 133 laps here at Texas for the Texas 200 at the Stars and Stripes ARCA Series. You're watching it all here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stars and Stripes ARCA series here at Texas. It's race number 2 of the season for season 6 for these drivers, and you get all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is that of Zach Hull, as well as Robert Moore Jr. running productions in the background. About that 3/4 of the race is done. Scott Ricker's leading the way as really our whole entire top 6 are right on top of one another. And this race is being, oh no, they're wreck in front for the lead. Oh no, it's O'Keefe as well as it's going to be Kyle Bowling scattering to the outside lane. And our third caution of the race was right on that group I was talking about, Zach. They were right on top of one another, one mistake, and away they go.
Oh man, just a major check up there into 3 and 4 with all these drivers stacked up, and I think we'll get to see that here on this instant replay. You'll see it down the back straightaway. I mean, you literally have 6 cars nose to tail here, and all it takes is one simple checkup from a driver that's not expecting it. And I think it all starts with the 17. You're going to see he checks up a little bit earlier than that 32. I don't think the 15 Wade was expecting it too much, but it was the 24 who really is the one who got in the back bumper there. The 15 is the 15 checked up for that 17. Then from there, Kevin O'Keefe had nowhere to go. And I mean, it was pandemonium there through 3 and 4 with multiple of our top 5 drivers involved in that. Andrew Medlin catching a little bit, and just a tough break there racing for those top 5 spots.
What a save, though, from Christopher Wade. He was completely kinked sideways and kept it straight. But for O'Keefe and Bowling, they were not able to hold on. 24 locks it down, able to allow drivers to drive on by, and the one of Nate Lynch trying a different destination around the damaged cars. As we get to see the replay again, looking at all the different ways you went around, the 24 gets smack spun around, and just seeing the aggressive wreck there. But then watch out, there goes the one on the outside.
Oh, so close for a lot of these guys, just narrowly escaping disaster. But man, that's a tough break. I mean, it happens so easy. So many times in racing, you see that little mistake happen between drivers where they're all stacked on top of each other. Nobody wants to drive into the corner too deep. They're trying to actually save a little bit of tire. So a lot of people back the corner up to lift a little bit earlier, slow that car down to make sure they're well within the limits of the grip of the tire. And it just, it's one car, then the second car, and then usually that third car that checks up. You got to happen so fast that it just caught Kyle Bowling off guard, and then from there it's just a tough break because that was some of our top contenders right there. We'll see, can they get back into it? I mean, not too much damage from those guys, but definitely a tough break nonetheless.
Yeah, a very tough break that they're going to have to deal with, as that is our third caution of the night. And do got to give, we've been giving special thanks to our sponsors. Want to give a special thanks as well to Stars and Stripes sponsors, as Stars and Stripes presented by that Next Level Racing. Next Level Racing has tons of great ways to get your racing rig set up to be the next great driver out there. As well, once you get your Next Level Racing equipment, go on over and get your ButtKicker. They've got themselves a game or two. It allows you to feel the sounds, not just hear them. Big thanks to those sponsors for themselves here at Stars and Stripes as the drivers pace along. But Zach, there are a few drivers that were able to come in to pit road and actually going to be taking a set of tires to work on. They're going to have a slight advantage, and those drivers are going to be Tim McNally, our pole sitter Brian Messick, as well as Kevin O'Keefe and others deciding to come into pit road. That's going to be curious to see how they're going to react on this restart.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that works out. I think Kevin O'Keefe, with the sliding there of that wreck, he wanted to get those tires changed. Messick and McNally will see what they can produce with it. I mean, these guys had about 7 good laps of speed on those tires, so they're going to be a difference for sure here when we get going back green. I mean, we could see some track positions change hands and see some of these drivers try to get themselves back up there. And what's Christopher Wade's tires going to be like, I think, is another good question for him, because he had a major slide, like you said, Sam, where he just had a spectacular save there. So good job on him there to get that all done. But I think some of these drivers out here got to be questioning, what type of strategy do they want to play. I know most of them should be able to make it on fuel, but if we do get another caution here within 10 to 15 laps or anytime later, we for sure will see a very, very busy pit road. So we're going to have to see how that all shakes up, because I believe most of these guys have one set left.
Only one left to work with, and they are going to be heavily pressured. Also want to give a big thanks to one of our sponsors, the Admin Box. The Admin Box is a premium button box, plug, set, and go, and make you the best admin or race control out there in league or hosted races. Remember to use our promo code FFB-BOXX. That's FFB-box with 2 X's when purchasing at Admin Box. The drivers are stacked up, they're ready to go. And for our second race of the season for the Stars and Stripes ARCA Series, Season 6, Texas 200, we're back to green flag racing in the 20. That of the 32 is taking off, and it is ramping up, but there are some heavy hunters to watch out for that are lingering behind.
That they are. Ross Tatum, first time up into the top 5 tonight for that 21 machine. Let's see what he can do. Thomas Ogle, we know how well he was on the longer runs. This caution did kind of hamper that for him there, as we're going to have more caution laps and less green laps for him to make up that room. But we'll see, can he do it? Also, Andrew Hess tonight has been a big mover. One of the drivers that fell back and has definitely been moving his way up as the long run continues. And then Joshua Robinson. Haven't talked too much about him in that 10 machine. He's up to 8th now. So we got some new players, and even Diego Valle, he's up into the top 10.
Yeah, Diego was very aggressive on the outside on that last run, but we're riding on board, getting the sense from Joshua Robinson and that of the 10 machine, seeing the 5 of Andrew Hess in front. But man, are some of these drivers getting aggressive? The 77 trying to muscle his way once again. We saw this of him trying to make a pass back for 22nd position. Well, now it's for 9th.
Man, what a power move from him here. He's saying, you know what, tires, it doesn't matter, I'm going by here. So he makes that pass on Trey Jackson. We'll see, can he try to set something up here for Joshua Robinson in the next few laps? Or will he have to look in his mirror, as behind him, the 6 of Will Bustler and the 40 of Aaron Hill continue their battle as it's stacking up back there with Kyle McCoy and also Derek Offerman.
Yeah, we got some drivers that once were up in the top 15, top 10 for the majority of this race, now stuck lingering behind, trying to carve their way through the field, and you've got to be making aggressive passes, and that's what we're seeing right now. It's going to be the 6 of Will Bustler. Got to be trying to make this inside lane work on Aaron Hale, but with a lot of these drivers, they're trying their best, if they get past, to squeeze in, not lose any more positions by being stuck and trained on the outside. As you see that of the 40 machine still holding strong. What a move for themselves, but back here basically for last place, they're 3 wide. Hastings, Cornwell, as well as Timmy McNally hold on somehow.
Wow, what a move there from Cornwell. He's trying to use every little bit of grip he has in those tires to go around the outside. And now, luckily for him, he's back on the lead lap. That was the one thing I think big enough for him, and he is definitely using the tires that he has got here to his advantage.
Oh, no! McNally! McNally's going to hold on, not hit that inside wall, but Randy Cornwell is not giving up. And McNally's got to hold on, because that little bit of a slide could be hurting him and being a massive detrimental incident later on in this run. But the 11 continues to go forward. And speaking about going forward, a pass for the lead. You saw it on our ticker board. The 15 gets by Scott Rickard.
Yeah, and that's amazing to see, because he had the major slide through 3 and 4 there with that incident getting ran into the back of for that caution. Christopher Wade here, somehow with tires that have, really been probably hurt from that little bit of a slide, has took this lead. Now, can he hold on to it? That's going to be the question. Scott Rickard's been so strong tonight as the run continued on. We'll see, can he put the pressure on Wade, and can Wade go back-to-back? That would be, the perfect way to start a season for a driver. So we'll see if he can do it, but it's going to be tough. We've seen all night that 32 be super strong on those longer runs.
We're coming up to 30 laps to go, but that gaggle of cars in the middle of the field, it is getting chaotic right now. The 9 leading the Pied Piper of all the drivers, but it's Derek Offerman. The 20 gets loose, somehow holds on. The rest of the field avoids him, and somehow not a wreck or taken away. We might see one as drivers scattering everywhere. Tim McNally forced to go to pit road for the 12, and the 88, our pole sitter, he scatters through the grass.
What had a great start to the night with getting on the pole, but now he is in major trouble of not even finishing possibly inside the top 30, as he's going to have that 66 of George Kovacic coming up to him, and that'll put him in the 30th position. So tough break for Messick. Timmy McNally having to go down pit road, like you said. That middle of the pack was so wild, man. That is nuts to see.
absolute maddening right now. All the drivers trying to figure out how to close in and get inside of our top 10. And you see here our rookie class, drivers all over the place. But right now, you look at the rookies, current highest one of them is the 77 right now in 7th.
And that is amazing to see too, because Diego started in 30th position. I mean, if you had to bet on one of the rookies to be in the best position, I'm sure we wouldn't have put our money on Diego. We're going to have to be taking note of him though later in this season, as he has definitely been on the charge all night long. And at 77, if he can produce some type of top 10 or even a top 5, I think that'll be a win in his book from starting 30th.
I mean, he got spun out, and then he had to make a couple of really aggressive door bangs with other drivers, and now making his way forward. But speaking of forward, what our second biggest mover, Diego is our biggest mover of the night so far. Second biggest, 21 of Ross Tatum. He's inside of our top 5, and now is on the charge. Looking at that last lap, it was Ross Tatum, the fastest driver on track.
Well, I mean, that is just a classic Ross Tatum statement. You know, all night long, just lurking in the back, making his way forward, and then he figures it out, man. He's just one of those drivers. He's got so much knowledge and so much of a racer IQ that he can, be kind of off to start the race, and as the race goes on, he picks up, he learns. That's his practice, and he really picks up from the drivers out there on the racetrack with him, and he's showing it right now. I mean, he continues to be one of the fastest cars, if not the fastest car on the racetrack. So Ross Tatum here, he's going to try to make quick work of Dylan Grimm, because this race is quickly coming down to the end.
It's quickly coming to the end, and also Sarcy's 21 trying to figure out how to get to the inside, not able to make the pass there, but something else that's slowly closing in and about to run out of space. That is our charity event in February. The slots are filling out very quickly, and if you want to be a part of our second annual Daytona 500, last year it was the endurance race of 6 hours at Daytona. This year we are doing a full-length Daytona 500 for a great cause, for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. We are hoping to have as many drivers as possible, and Zach, the spots, they're clicking away quick.
That they are, Sam. They're definitely clicking away quick. And I tell you what, if you want to be a part of that, check out the chat, because I just put the Discord link out there for our community Discord for you guys to go in there and join, find any little bit of information that you need to join the race. And if you have any questions, make sure to ask any of the admins there in that Discord. They will definitely help you get that all figured out. And we're also above $400 now raised to the JDRF charity. So, I mean, that is a great feeling, and we've just started. So I can't wait to see what we continue to do, as we got a battle for the lead.
Battle for the lead is on, and as well, on top of that, Ross Tatum at the longest point felt like he was the fastest driver. Well, we talked about Thomas Ogle in that last long run stint. Now he was flying. The 31 starting to get that inkling of speed once again as Scott Rickard takes the leads back.
What is a power move there from Scott Rickard to get that lead back very quickly. And that's just super impressive from him, man. I tell you, he's been super impressive all night long. But Scott Rickard's coming different here tonight. He wants to go out there after getting a second place finish. It's kind of crazy to think the guys who finished 1-2 are running 1-2 right now after Daytona last week. So it is definitely a great start for those two, but they can't look too far back. That 21 of Ross Tatum, he has come out of nowhere, and he is going to be charging up to the back bumper of this 15.
Really, I mean, looking at Scott Rickard, what a run by this 32 machine. But the big thing for Scott, when this series first started up, Scott was not here for that first initial season. He missed out on the opportunity to run these ARCA cars. Kyle McCoy won the championship almost easily, hands down, but we also didn't see that of Ross Tatum. We were missing Andrew Medlin. We were missing Thomas Ogle. Some of these other drivers are inside of the top 10. We are seeing the speed of drivers that weren't there for season 1. They're getting their redemption time here for season 6.
That they are, man, and Ross Tatum just continue the march forward. We also got another player there, that's Andrew Medlin. He's starting to close his way in, but you can't even look too far behind is Dylan Grimm. He's got another driver right behind him, and he was the driver that was the fastest car on the racetrack that last run. Thomas Ogle, will he be a threat here also? It's anybody's game, because we saw last run, it all started to happen at the same time. When the tires fall off, they go away quickly.
They really do, and honestly, we were seeing the drivers, it was about a 6-car pack that was up front waited until we started to see that little switch of the tires falling off. Well, we're closing into that factor, but it's a much bigger group. It's a lot closer. Our top 9 are all within 2 seconds of one another, and that of 7th, 8th, that's Diego, as well as that of Joshua Robinson. They're closing into this group, and they are coming in fast.
Man, that is amazing to see these guys all closing in. Diego, along with Josh Robinson, like you said. I mean, this is going to heat up to be quite the battle here coming down to these final 20 laps here at the Texas Motor Speedway. This is nowhere near over yet. I mean, Ross Tatum running quicker laps than Scott Rickard.
It's not over yet at all. Drivers making contact on the entry of turn 3. It's Randy Cornwell absolutely destroying Trey Jackson, the big one in the middle of 3 and 4.
Oh no, Randy Cornwell hard into that back bumper, like you said, Sam, and Trey Jackson just an innocent bystander there getting the bump. And I mean, he definitely did not give the 25 much, and from there was just multiple drivers involved in that one as they all came scattering in as the 25 tried to keep it locked down, but when you're on that higher banking, you slide down the racetrack.
See here, the 11 tried to make a pass on the outside, was blocked by the 25, then decided to duck it down low. Randy Cornwell, he is on about 5 lap fresher tires into this run. He had been running just as fast as our leaders, gives the bump. And we talked about the overcorrection, and that was a little bit of overcorrection and a little bit of assistance with that contact by the 11.
Yeah, he hit him the first time and then kind of continued to plow through him. That's where if you're Trey Jackson, you can understand sometimes getting hit in the rear. It's sometimes an honest mistake from drivers. I mean, it's hard to judge a lot of things when you're slowing down, but there's the hit Messick into the 14 machine that sends him around a Mike Lynch. And I mean, that was just pandemonium there. And then, there's Nate Lynch 2 up high. That's just tough, nowhere to go. But I think Trey Jackson might be a little upset with Randy Cornwell after that incident.
A little bit. The one struggling to stay on. You thought the outside was going to be his magical place, just like it was on 2 cautions ago. Not going to be the case there. And man, riding on board with seeing how the aftermath was, and the one thought the outside was a better place to go, obviously was not.
Yeah, it looked open for a moment with them all coming down the racetrack, but with that massive hit from the other group of drivers, I mean, it was almost like an explosion of smoke there for a second, and it's just hard to judge where to go. And Nate Lynch, getting in the Messick there. That's another tough break, and just people, unfortunately getting involved in other people's mistakes, so quickly it can end up ending your night just like that here at the Texas Motor Speedway, and that's a tough break for a lot of this group of drivers.
As we're going to be seeing as well with all the drivers involved with that, Brandon Messick as well as Trey Jackson and Nate Lynch, all going to be with required damage flags, going to be in pit road for quite a while. But there actually was an incident that happened under pit road as well. That Brian Lynch got spun around by the 23 of Kevin O'Keefe. It just seemed like one driver decided to go a lot faster than the other, and the 22 saw himself being spun on trying to get into his box. But drivers pacing around, and Zach, all eyes up front. Ed Perry, will he decide to come into pit road, or will he decide to stay out there on old tires?
It looks like he's made his decision, unless he does a little different than Randy Cornwell and comes down a little bit later here on this next lap. I mean, could be looking to just get a lap led for himself, but it looks to me that he may be electing to stay out here. So we'll see how it works out when he passes pit road here, but we've seen it already earlier. Staying out like this, it's not going to work for long. I mean, you're going to have to catch a caution within, really 5 to 10 laps if you want to come down and put tires on and have any type of advantage. But at the same time, Ed Perry might be in a situation where he's hit pit road 4 times tonight. He was involved in that incident. He may already use his all 3 sets of tires, so he might just have to run this one out on the tires. So that's a tough break for him, but we'll see how it works out now, because it's going to be a short run.
And he's going to the inside. And with Ed Perry making the late decision here late in this race, we're going to talk to that of the 42 machine, get his thoughts on it. Ed, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on being in the lead right now. But, man, what are your thoughts right now being on older tires with the rest of the field behind you?
Oh, I am a dead duck. I don't have any tires left, so there's no point in going to getting any tires. or
Yeah.
fuel.
And I tell you, man, that's going to be tough for you to work out. How do you feel like you're going to try to just salvage this?
Yeah, this race has been a disaster for me. So if I can, I don't know, be a top 15, I'd be happy.
Well, Ed, we're hoping for the best for you. We'll send you back to your team, but good luck.
Thank you.
As that is your leader on the inside, the 42 of Ed Perry. I mean, this is going to be one of those moments, Zach. We saw the trying of Randy Cornwell to the outside. I don't know about this one. This one inside, slower tires. This does not look well for this restart, but let's find out how it goes. Will we see a big one, or will we stay green? The pace car is off, and we're green here for the Texas 200.
Yeah, and I tell you that inside road is going to have some big issues with Ed Perry there, because also Aaron Hale on 2 tires, only two right side tires. No wreck him in the back.
It's going to be the 41 of Jonathan Woods. He'll stay on the apron. We stay green as the drivers on the inside groove trying to hold on. Aaron Hale right on the back bumper of the 42 as the drivers hit the backstretch. They're about to go 3 wide for that at 3rd place, and here we go. Ed Perry stuck in the middle. Andrew Medlin going to be tapped, but he'll hold on the outside. The drivers behind also going to be 3 wide as the 42 somehow holding on, but a complete checkup on the inner groove.
And here comes Diego Valle. He was making big moves through 3 and 4 there, trying to make up ground. He's now going to go to the inside of the 42 as he continues to get swamped on those older tires. But it's Ross Tatum, Scott Rickard, 1-2 out in front of this field. It's going to be tough to catch those two, but this pandemonium back here continues to pop off.
Ed Perry is going to be having to just stay on the outside and hope everyone else can react around him. But the driver's in the middle of the pack. Kevin O'Keefe, you see there with Joshua Robinson, this for 11th and 12th position, as you're also seeing a little bit of drivers deeper in the field. There's going to be the 48. We saw him have a great run last week at Daytona. And for that of Scalise, he is hoping to have just a miracle run to stay in the top 15, as here comes Randy Cornwell. He still has fresh rubber in the 11, still has an opportunity to be aggressive and maybe spin out another driver.
Oh man, definitely.
Driver goes high in. Aaron Hale bounced up into the outside wall into the entry of 3 and 4. They're 3 wide right now for 6th place, and they've got to be careful because it's not a true 3 wide. It's a stacked 3 wide, meaning one driver mistake, and the 77 gets into the 17. Diego giving 0 regard to anyone else. He is trying for a top 5.
I mean, he's just had the elbows out all night, apparently, because Diego has muscled his way to this top 5 and now fighting hard. I mean, hard on the quarter panel of that 28 of Kyle McCoy, but I think McCoy here fights back on the exit. He should be able to clear the 77, as now the 77 will hop here right to the inside.
Trying to get to the inside groove on the entry of turn 1, almost gets to Kyle McCoy's bumper, not able to secure that spot, as we still right on board with 77. And for our leader, Scott Rickard, Ross Tatum, they have pulled away. They've checked out. They are almost a full second ahead of Andrew Medlin in 3rd, just showing the complete chaos of trying to get by Ed Perry. Some of the other drivers side by side, 3 wide for the majority of this run. They are still trying to attack. And also a driver I've got my eyes on, you see him on the inside, that black and orange machine. That is Thomas Ogle up to 7th, no longer trying to save his tires. It's aggressive, full throttle time.
Yeah, this is no saving tires mode here for a lot of these drivers. Nobody's going to be saving anything. They want to get straight to the finish and get the best one they possibly can, and saving is not going to give you that. So Thomas Ogle definitely giving it the full gas here, as he's got Valle right up ahead of him. Can he run him down to get some more positions? Because, man, he definitely was hoping for a longer run here tonight. That 31 was so strong there, but I think the big thing for him, he'll be able to carry that momentum into some of these other races, and we'll have to watch for his long run speed later. But I think Kevin O'Keefe is starting to make a little bit of a run back up even himself, as he's battling back there in around 13.
He certainly is, but this is for the lead. 9 laps to go. About to be making it 8 laps to go. It's Scott Rickard, who has been up front all night long, and he has been trying his best to just defend for the lead. He's been passed at some moments by that of Wade. He's almost gotten passed by Thomas Ogle at moments, but it's been the consistent of Scott Rickard up front. But here comes Ross Tatum, who's been playing the patient game. Qualified only back in 25th position. He's one of our biggest movers so far in this race, and Ross Tatum has not given up with 8 to go.
Daddy has not, Sam. We always talk about how smart Ross is and how good he is at the end of these races. Now is his chance to prove it even more. Can he get to Scott Rickard? Can he make something happen? I mean, that's, I think, the only chance for any of these other drivers behind here to really have a shot at this race, because if these two don't battle, they've got such a gap that it's not going to be within the realms of them to catch them unless we get some type of yellow flag to halt this progression. So we'll see. But Scott Rickard, I mean, he's been money all night so far in that 32, been somewhat dominant at times.
Here we come to 6 to go here at Texas, the Legacy Texas course. This track technically doesn't even really exist in this type of a format, but it has still brought some great racing action. This is the driver's favorite Texas course. This is the one that allows you to really try to maximize your tires, your speed, and we have seen it all throughout tonight of drivers being on top of one another. Some of these long runs have shown tire wear has fallen off, but we are coming to 5 to go, and it looks to be a mano-a-mano event between Scott Rickard, Ross Tatum, but could we see the closing rate from Andrew Medlin, Christopher Wade, Kyle McCoy? Are they thinking in the next 3 to 4 laps that there could be a massive drop-off from our leaders?
That's possible. It definitely is. And I mean, Christopher Wade and Kyle McCoy are battling right now. McCoy is somewhat struggled on the longer runs here tonight, but he's been very, very good about, being very quick on the short runs. And at this point, it is a short run. So if something happens with our 2 leaders up front, he could have a shot here late into this race.
And also, a pass has been made for 6th place, that of Diego Valle, not able to hold off Thomas Ogle. Ogle is up to 6th. But the drivers that are putting down some of the fastest laps are those instead of our top 5. The fastest of our top 5 is Kyle McCoy in 4th place, but it's our front 2. Big enough gap. If we keep at this rate, those drivers in 3rd, 4th, and 5th will not catch up to Scott Rickard or Ross Tatum. Right now, Tatum trying different lines to figure out how to close in this gap, and it looks like that low, shallow entry is really helping out the 21 on the entry to center, but it's the exit where the 21 is losing pace.
Yeah, he's losing a little bit of pace compared to that 32 on the exit, but that shallow entry, like you said, just entering a little bit lower and a little bit more shallow, it's getting the air on the nose, but Scott Rickard, they're turning down a little bit later, dumping the dirty air on him as they exit off the corner, and that's where the exit speed is coming from Scott Rickard. He's really waiting on that turn down from that race car, and Ross Tatum, though, he has been money so far with that early entry. It's just not worked too well on that exits, but right there, losing a little bit of ground through 3 and 4. He's going to have to try to set him up once more.
Slight wiggle out of 4. It is now 2 to go here tonight for the Texas 200. If we get the white flag, we race this thing to the end. But if a caution comes out on this lap, we'll head to overtime. Scott Rickard hoping for them to stay green because he is money at this moment. But Scott Rickard, he is falling back. He needs a perfect lap if he wants to get to the back bumper of the 32 as the drivers enter 3 and 4. Out of turn number 4, it is going to be your freaky fast white flag up in the air for Scott Rickard. The 32 wants redemption after last week.
That he does. Scott Rickard there bringing home 2nd last week at Daytona. Now 1 spot better. What a way to start his season off if he can hold off this 21 for 1 more lap as they exit 2. He's got a nice gap. Just got to be clean through 3 and 4.
The exit of 2, so clean. It's now up to 3/10, and Ross Tatum can do nothing about it. Scott Rickard, who's been up front, led every lap that he could, led the most. He's been there, he's done that, and give the 32 his first win of season 6.
What a job from Scott Rickard. I'm telling you, if this guy's firing on all cylinders like he started this season off, he is going to be a threat for that championship like he is every season. But I tell you what, he's come back even better than what he has been in that next-gen car. And I think this has sent a message to the rest of the field that the Scott Rickard that was winning all those races the other seasons is back.
I mean, this is one of the scarier moments because last season, Scott only got a win at a road course where he continued that trend of winning at every single road course that he's been at. And now winning at an oval, this is when you know this 32 is going to be a threat like he was back in season 4 for that of the Stars and Stripes series where he had a battle with Kyle McCoy. But tonight at Texas, it was all the 32. We got the clean air and never looked back, and we'll win here tonight. We'll talk to our top 2. We'll also talk to our special guest as we head to the post-race show. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, get ready for it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for that of the Stars and Stripes Season 6 here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It was race number 2 here at the Legacy Texas course, and the driver that got it done is going to be that of the 32 of Scott Rickard. What a run for himself as we pull into victory lane. Scott, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Man, you almost made it look easy out there when you got fresh air, but man, how are you feeling after that race here tonight?
I can finally breathe. I don't think I was breathing the last 5 laps, just hoping there wasn't a caution that came out and ruined it. So it's been so long since I won on a normal oval. That's not a super speedway yet. It's nice.
Yeah, Scott, that's exactly what I was going to hit at, man. I mean, this is the first time you won on an oval in a very long time. I mean, we know how talented you are on the road courses, but like you said, this is a classical oval, not a super speedway. You bring home the victory. How much does this help the confidence heading into the rest of the season here with this new car?
I've always loved this car in iRacing. It's one of my favorites, along with the Xfinity car. So I just wasn't sure about the old Texas because I haven't ran here since the new one came out, so I wasn't sure how it was going to be on the long run.
I think that was a lot of us, even up in the booth. We really weren't sure what exactly we were going to see from these drivers and from this car tonight, but we are going to some tracks. We were talking about it before the interview started here, Scott. I mean, we've got Michigan, Sonoma coming up. It seems like those are tracks where we've seen you perform well. How are you feeling about those next couple of tracks?
Michigan, It depends on the car for me mostly in the setup. I know I enjoy Sonoma no matter what because I just like the road courses for obvious reasons. But yeah,
Well, Scott, a great run here tonight. Congratulations on your win. I actually went back and looked. The last time you won at a non-road course or super speedway track was almost a year ago, that of January 27th of 2022. So, hey, you beat it out before a year hit, but man, it's good to see you back in victory lane at a non-super speedway or road course event. Means you're going to be a threat to watch out for. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours.
everybody at the team and my dog.
That is going to be the 32 machinist Scott Rickard. Congratulations on this run, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
As we go from victory lane, we head to second place to a driver that tried everything possible and turns out to be our biggest mover of the day. We got Ross Tatum with us. Ross, you really put on a show there late. We weren't sure if you were able to make the pass. You're just coming up shy there, but how are you feeling after climbing through the field all night long?
Not gonna lie, after the first about 40 laps, I was pretty concerned. I went into the race thinking that I could just save tires and do what I did last season, and these guys are even better than last season. So couldn't do that. Had to run a little bit harder. Found a nice little pace there in that second run. Finally made up some ground, moved up forward, and there at the last little bit, people kept wrecking in front of me, and I kept getting a spot here or there. And I really thought I had a chance at Scott. And I really, this is one of my favorite tracks on iRacing. And I didn't put enough fuel in it. I left 3 gallons out, and it cost me the race for sure. But good racing by Scott. He did an excellent job holding me off at the end.
That he did, Ross. I tell you what, man, very valiant effort from you, also from the driver's side of things, man. Definitely fun for us to watch up here in the booth. I mean, we had that late yellow there. Do you think you would have had a possible better shot if it would have stayed green a little longer? It seemed like you were starting to run them down there on that longer portion of that run.
Yeah, actually, I think I would have been better off not having the caution. So that was unfortunate, but I mean, I still had a chance there. I made a mistake. Got to cut those out. The same thing that cost me the championship last season in this league. So for whatever reason, I just make bad decisions on pit road in this league. So I got to clean that up before the end of the season. But to come back and finish second tonight feels good because competition, man, it was tough tonight.
It really did look tough there, Ross. Speaking of championship last season, we finished the season off at Michigan. That is our next destination next week. How are you feeling heading to Michigan next week?
I have a lot of success at Michigan, but I do not like the track. I don't know about in these cars. I was telling my teammates, and I think we're all having the same issue tonight that we just haven't put a lot of laps on these ARCA cars. So it's going to take us probably 3 or 4 weeks or more than that just to get used to them. None of us really run official races, so everything we're doing is just learning right before the race. So it's going to take us a while to figure out the tires and stuff on these cars. So Michigan, I don't know. It's going to be a crapshoot. I think it's going to be a lot of drafting and a lot of stuff like that. So there could be some big wrecks and drama and all that fun stuff. But I'm looking forward to it. That's the main thing.
Well, Ross, again, congratulations on a second place finish with the way that you climbed through this field and becoming the biggest mover of the night. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours.
Thanks, guys. Normally I think Coca-Cola, but I can't put them on my car this season. So, but I'll still shout them out. Everyone go try the Coke Zero. It's great. Got to thank all the league sponsors this season. I think Next Level Racing and oh gosh, there's another one. And then obviously Freaky Fast. You guys are the best. Can't wait for the charity race here in a couple weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully, you guys can raise a lot of money for juvenile diabetes. And got to thank all my teammates, Will, Ed, Jonathan. Maybe not the night we wanted, but we all persevered and got decent finishes. And then just got to thank everyone who watches. It's one of the best leagues I've ever ran in, and I can't wait till the next one.
That is going to be the 21 machine of Ross Tatum. Congratulations on second once again, and good luck at Michigan next week.
Thanks, guys.
As we go from second place, we head to our special guest, who is going to be the driver. We talked about it a lot here tonight. Highs, lows, and everywhere you can go. We've got our our highest finisher of the rookie class. Diego is with us. Diego, what a finish it for yourself. Come away 11th. But man, we were talking about you all night long with some of the moves you were making. How are you feeling after tonight's run?
Well, I wish I was able to capitalize a little bit more on my track position at the end there, because I kind of ended up getting a couple cars on my inside and running a little bit too hard. But I'm really happy with the result. I qualified back in 30th, and to work my way up to even be in that position was really just my goal for tonight. So.
Well, Diego, man, congrats on that. I mean, a valiant effort for sure to work your way up from 30th to the starting position. How much confidence does this build for you entering the rest of the season as a rookie? You know, to see how much you can actually work your way through the field, and if you get a good qualifying spot, maybe you can work your way in even to a farther spot.
Oh yeah, it's a big time confidence booster. I know I'm fast in this car. I know if I practice tracks, if I know the car well, I have a good shot to contend week in, week out. So it's just confirming that to me.
I mean, you certainly showed very good glimpses of speed. We're so excited to see how you're going to run throughout this season. But man, talk about last week and then coming into this week. I know last week didn't really give you a lot of knowledge of racing with a lot of these drivers at these more traditional oval courses where you got to think about letting off the brake and conserving your tires. How much did last week help you into this week, though, on trying to get used to all the drivers around you?
Well, I think it helped me figure out that most people in this league really respectful. They like running you well. They give you room. Yeah, really nice racing. Good group of guys we got here. Just a big result for the team as well. So.
Well, awesome run to see how you're performing here tonight. Again, biggest mover of the rookies. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Well, yeah, shout out to GR Racing, Andrew Medlin, who ended up finishing in 4th position. Shout outs to him. Thank you to my mom, dad, my brothers and sisters. Thank you to everyone who's given me support over the years. And hopefully I'll be back here again sometime this season.
Well, we hope to be talking to you in victory lane or in second place, but congratulations on 11th place finish, and good luck heading to Michigan next week.
Thank you very much.
As that is your special guest interviewee, that's going to be the 77 of Diego, and what a run that he had. And Zach, I mean, it's always fun. I'm loving the fact that we're doing our top 2 and then a special guest. It really gives you a different point of view on some of the other drivers, on how their nights have gone, and getting used to the other drivers around.
I really do love it too, man. We get to learn some of these newer guys, you know, get to see how they all play out with their stuff. And He explained it so well. I mean, you heard the confidence that he grew tonight just from this performance of starting 30th and driving up to 11th. I mean, at times being in 6th. I mean, it's really cool to hear that perspective and get to hear from, throughout the field here tonight. So it's only going to get better, and I can't wait to, have a chat with most of all these drivers throughout the whole season. It's gonna be good to hear a different perspective at the end of these races.
Certainly will. Well, as the race is done, let's take a look at our unofficial results on how these drivers finished out. A lot of drivers moving up and down. Some were caught up in those late big wrecks. But the driver that got the win here tonight, it's Scott Rickard in that 32 machine, as well as Ross Tatum going to get second place. Kyle McCoy, great surge for the 28. He'll take third, with Andrew Medlin falling to fourth. 15 machine will take fifth of Christopher Wade, our winner from last week. Thomas Ogle is going to get sixth. That of Andrew Hess going to finish seventh, with Dylan Grimm eighth. Ninth goes to that of Zach Kreitz. A great run by the 9 with Will Bustler. After some of the contact that he had with the 77, he'll finish out with our top 10 spot.
Yeah, and as I look through the rest of this field too, Sam, I tell you, some interesting races for a few of these guys. I feel like a few guys are going to exit here saying, I didn't get the finish I want with how I was running. There was a few of them definitely involved in those incidents right up in the front of the field that could have been in a much better position. Kyle Bolin, Kevin O'Keefe, I think those are two primary drivers that, felt like they probably could have had a better finish, but it just went sideways all in just one corner, and that's all it is in racing. Sometimes it takes one little move, and it can ruin your whole night.
Well, that is going to be how tonight fell down, with 32 getting the victory lane. But next week, we touched on it, Michigan, the next destination. The drivers got to get themselves settled in and ready to go. But this is the second race of the season. It is done, dusted. And what a week. It's a full week, Zach, of getting to watch all the great racing. All the series that we cover here that are starting up in January are back up and running with ISRC Truck Series Monday night at 9 Eastern. Tuesday, we've got the Full Send Racing Series. They're in that of the trucks, and they run at that of 9:30 Eastern, p.m. Eastern. Then we've got Wicked on Wednesdays. They had an incredible fuel run race at Talladega last night. They're going to be having their runs at 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays, and then we're right back here, same time, same place, Freaky Fast Broadcasting, that of the Stars and Stripes series. Race number 3 next week, Michigan. Excited to see how the drivers get to react with these ARCA cars at a monster of a track.
Yeah, me too, Sam. I tell you, I'm very excited to see how they handle the 2 mile, high banks of Michigan. I mean, it's definitely a change up from Texas for sure, and definitely a change up from Daytona we've seen so far. So I like how they hit like a 2.5 miler, a 1.5 mile track here tonight, and then a 2 mile race straight out the get-go. And then you had the road course right after that at Sonoma. So it's kind of 4 different racetracks all back to back to back. And I think it's going to definitely show for sure as we go into that race who's got it figured out. These cars, I think, over the season are going to take time for certain drivers. You heard Ross Tatum talk about it. He said it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks for his team and him to really figure this machine out. They haven't been running the ARCA cars much. And, as that time goes on, I'm interested to see which drivers can make up the most. I looked at someone like Kyle McCoy. He didn't have the greatest night tonight. He finished third. I mean, that is a great night for him. But, I'm sure he wants to get back to his winning ways like he's been doing in the past year at Stars and Stripes. So we'll see how his, season picks up from there. And then see who also is a late bloomer, as they would say. Some drivers, it just takes longer, and all of a sudden when it clicks, it clicks. So I can't wait for these next few weeks. It's definitely going to be crucial for building out the rest of the regular season.
Can't wait for it. And again, tonight, big thanks to all those that watched and were a part of the race, giving us the great coverage for us to talk about and show. For all those that are watching still, thank you for being with us throughout tonight. Hopefully we'll see you at our next broadcast. That is going to be Monday night for the ISRC Truck Series, as their second race of the season will come around. And for that of the Stars and Stripes series, we'll see you next week. But man, for everyone here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall and Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining us here tonight. We'll see you on our next broadcast. Good luck to everyone with a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday.